Hey, so it is DeAndre or DT, and I thought I'd record myself while I'm fixing my eyebrows. I recently moved into this apartment on the 7th, and I've talked about it a little bit on my little diary episode I did for my podcast, and I think that I just want to take you guys along the way of me doing my eyebrows. So as you can tell, there's not a lot of light in here, but as you can tell, they come in kind of like faded, and they're not really thick. But while I'm doing this, I thought I'd kind of talk about, the crazy Grindr story. I posted on Facebook. I was like, hey, does anybody want to hear a story, I guess, that I could talk about on my podcast and also on social media? And I thought I could honestly just talk about it. And excuse me, this is my first time doing something on camera, and I feel it's kind of weird having my phone right here, but I'm also looking in the mirror. But I like to go through with my eyebrows and kind of this, brush what little I have. And they grow in kind of sparse, so they're not really a defined shape. They're just kind of there's an idea of a shape basically. But I want to talk about a situation that happened, I think I want to say when I was 19. And so I was 19, and this is never the first time I was getting kind of into doing the whole, let me just try to the hookup culture, because it seems to be a thing that the young gays are doing, so I want to try to do this. And while doing that, there was this guy that I went to school with, but we weren't in class, and he was on there, and he seemed cool enough, right? I thought he was cute in school, but I never really paid much mind to it. And so I decided to let him come over. And take in mind, at this time, I was freshly moved out of my mom's place. I was living with a friend, but I moved out of their place, so it was me and this guy named, I dropped names. It was me and my first roommate. So the first roommate was a cool guy. He was he was a nerd, so he was cool. I'm a nerd myself, but he was a little really into it. And so with all that being said, when all that happened, I invited the guy over. It was cool enough, right? And take in mind, I don't let anyone come to my apartment, anyone. And it's not because I'm embarrassed. It's more in the sense of it just feels weird having someone that's not family/friends just in my living space. And that was one of the things I was really kind of weird about. So with that, I had this little brush somewhere. Just have it. I'm gonna be right back. Sorry about that. And also, if you hear music in the background, that's Beyonce's Renaissance. You should definitely go stream it if you haven't heard it before. It's a great album. She made it for the gays. But no, so I was gonna say that with everything, him coming over to my place, it was cool for the most part. We did our thing, right? And he left. I didn't think so much about it, right? And then, a couple of days later, my roommate came to my room, and he was like, DeAndre, have you been in my stuff? And I was like, what the hell are you talking about? No, I don't go to your room. I already even go to the living room. What the hell are you talking about? And he was like, well, my medicine is missing. And I was like, well, what medicine is missing? I'm over here thinking it's I don't know, anxiety medicine or something, or something really, I wouldn't say the medicine that he was missing wasn't important, but I was thinking of something that he desperately needed. And he was like, no, I'm missing my, I think it was some kind of cough syrup he was missing, and it was the one that people take to get high, kind of cough syrups. And I was like, oh, well, no, I haven't touched it. I don't even smoke weed anymore, right? I just I was confused, basically, in short. And if you wonder what I'm doing, I like to line where my eyebrow is gonna be at. Like, you know how I don't know if you ever watch like those videos of people whenever they're going through and they're like tracing it with like little white chalk kind of stuff on their eyebrows. Well, with me, I just like to go through with a black shade for my eyebrows, and I go through and I line how I want my eyebrows to be shaped, and I go through and I just shave how everything is gonna go. But anywho, so he comes over and just tells me like, yeah, like, well, my stuff is missing. I'm not sure why it's missing. You said you didn't take it, but it's not here. I'm just like, well, I genuinely just didn't take it because I don't take drugs. I hardly even drink, honestly. And so after all that, so I texted, and I just kind of thought, like, I was like, wait, well, I did have that guy over at my house. So I texted him, I was like, hey, did you like take anything while you were here? Like, I'm asking because like I'm not trying to blame you, but if you took it, like, you know, and you know, I'm not gonna make a big deal about it. Like, if you took it, just like give it back. And he was like, I didn't take anything. I don't even do drugs, dude. I was like, okay, well, that's whatever. So I told my roommate, like, hey, well, he said he didn't take it. And he was like, well, why did you have like a random stranger in our apartment in the first place if you don't really know him like that? Which, he caught me. Why? And I was kind of like, well, I'm sorry, like, you know, however much it costs, I can kind of replace it. And he was like, well, this isn't the type of medicine you can just go buy from the store. You have to get a doctor to prescribe it to you, and I don't have any more refills on that. And I was like, okay, well, that's like, well, whatever. So this happened like 1 month, right? So next month, tell me why this man tried to sell me the medicine that he stole from my roommate, the one medicine that I asked him about.
I'm out of here.
Part of me was just like, let me just like get him to come over here so I can just like confront him about it. But then I was like, no, we're gonna do that. I don't want to get murdered or anything like that, or like be in some drama. But I definitely I called him out on it. I was like, hey, you just tried to sell me this, and this looks like the bottle that my roommate described to me that was missing from like his, you know, missing out of his medicine. And he was like, it's not the same bottle, yo. And I was just like, well, I mean, like, it is. I mean, like, I'm not gonna bullshit you. I'm like, you were here, it's missing, all of a sudden now you're selling it. Like, what? And he was like, well, I don't steal, dude. Like, yada, yada, yada. I'm not no thief. And I was like, all right. So I told my roommate about it. My roommate was just like, oh, like, you know, bring him over here. He was like, you know, I have like a black belt in this and that, which granted, that's cool, you know. I don't want to be involved in that. Like, I'm not trying to invite somebody over. I can turn into like an ugly situation very quickly. And so I was like, oh, okay, well, that's cool. But no, we're not going to do that. And so after that, you know, I stopped dealing with that guy. He still hits me up to this day, actually. And I always tell him, like, yeah, no, that's not the plan. We're not doing that. And he was like pissy. He's like, are you still blaming me for what happened with that? I'm not liking how these are coming out. And he's like, are you still blaming me for the situation that happened with that medicine? I was like, well, I'm not really blaming you. I mean, like, you did it. Like, so just own up to it, right? But he just really just was like, I don't know, not shit. What I want to say, like, there are some more stories that I do have. I guess I could tell them while I'm sitting here. They're not necessarily Grindr story, but just crazy stories that I've had throughout my life. Let me tell you about the guy who I used to be friends with when I was a kid. And when I say kid, I mean like preteen. Like, he was on, like, I really didn't have like a lot of friends growing up, like, at all. I was like, we moved a lot. I didn't really sit in one place for me to have like a set friend, but he was like my friend, right? So we were friends like in middle school / going into junior high, and he moved, and then I ended up moving to Texas High. But he was like really cool at the time, and that when I was younger, I used to have a crush on him. But it was like it was nothing more than like a little like puppy crush, like like when you're kids. So he added me on Facebook out of like random, and this is back when I'm like I want to say I'm 22, I think. No, I'm 21, turning 22. So he hits me up on Facebook, and he's like, "Hey, bud." I'm like, "Oh, hi." I haven't heard from you in a while, and it's also like 11 o'clock at night, so we're all adults. We know. I was kind of thinking like, oh, okay, so what the fuck is he on? Like, there's no reason for this heterosexual man to be hitting me up past business hours. And so I sat up there, and I just wanted to see what he was on. So I hit him up, and say like, okay, like, well, we can just hang out this day, yada yada yada. And he was like, well, I used to always think that you were cute back when we were kids, and I was like, well, if you did, why didn't you say anything? But of course, homophobia, things like that, like internalized shit. So whatever. So past that point, he finally comes over, we chill and do other things. Whoa. But I'm not gonna, of course, say that on here. And he was cool. Like, I didn't like, he was a little cool little fling until it wasn't. So we got so accustomed to being around each other. Like, anytime he got off of work, he'd come over to my place, and vice versa. Whenever he'd get off of work, I'd go to his place. And it was cool for a moment. And then, like, I think I started to like him, but not like, but I always had this mindset of like, well, we're both like, well, I mean, I'm out of the closet, but he wasn't. And I wanted to make sure that I just kept it as like a friends with benefits type of thing. I didn't want it being any more than that, because I know how people are. And so it was cool. I was fine for whatever it was. I wasn't like looking for anything more. But at that same time, I was also starting to go out on dates with guys. Like, I never really just had that best of luck with men. Like, just in dating, I'm just like, I'm not really the best with that. And I started telling him, like, I just told him one day. I remember, like, we were all hanging out, and we were drinking, and I was like, hey, like, I got asked on this date. And part of like retrospect, I go back and I think about that, and I'm like, I probably shouldn't have mentioned that I was going on a date. Why? And then he started getting upset. He was like, what do you mean you're going on dates? And I was like, well, someone asked me out on a date, and I said yes, and it was nice. And he was like, well, why haven't you ever asked me to take you out on a date? And then at that point, I'm kind of like, if you want to go out on a date with me, why didn't you ask me to go out on a date? It's kind of weird, right? And so we get past like that whole argument, but he was definitely still peeved about it. Like, anytime we would talk, I could tell he had an attitude with me, kind of, which I was just really shocked by, because I'm just like, I mean, I don't know, like, why would you, if it's that much of an issue, just ask me out on a date? It's never like I said I was full on dating the other person to ask me out. I just went on a date. And so, I don't know, he kind of blew up one day when we were just chilling, and he's just like, I'm just kind of like tired of like us just doing this, like, is this all you want to do? And I was like, well, isn't this the terms that we kind of agreed on, that we were just gonna just be friends with benefits? Like, I'm like, if you want to do something else more than that, then this is obviously the time to have a discussion. But at the same time, I kind of don't want to have a discussion, because like, now you're kind of acting like a butt, like you're acting like an asshole because you want to date me, but like, again, as I said before, you're taking time to like, I don't know, like when we were we like got to know each other in other ways. He didn't really try to take time to actually get to know me as a person. Like, the only thing you can say is like, oh, I know you like Sims. But, oh, okay, like, I don't know, it's just kind of weird. And so we never end up going on a date anyway. But I think that in that point, that started to irritate him too. So at this point, he starts like acting weird and different towards me. And I'm not really knowing what was going on. So I was just like, okay. Well, it's fine. I'll just like leave him alone. And then he comes over one day. And like, of course, moody. And I'm just kind of thinking like, dude, if you're gonna come over my house, like, I don't want you being in a bad mood. Like, whatever the fuck this is, like, we can talk about it. Or we just need to like drop it. Like, we just need to stop fucking around with each other. And so he gets on this tirade about like, people don't really appreciate good dudes. And I'm like, where is this coming from? I just told him before, I was just like, if you wanted to date me, all you had to do was ask me out on a date. But being passive aggressive and throwing shots at me while we're just sitting here chilling is not bringing you any closer on, us dating or me even being open to the idea of dating you. And past that point, he's like, well, I'm just gonna go because like you don't appreciate the shit that I do for you, which he didn't really do anything. We just like literally just changed, like we just like chilled and hanged out. But it was just really dumb. It was stupid, right? And so I was like, yeah, no. And I just told him like, you know what? This is a lot for me. I'm just gonna like cut this off because I don't feel like this, like we're going anywhere with this. And so, and the thing is, let me also say that like this guy is not ugly. This man was an attractive man. He had like the body, which also made me feel some kind of way. Because granted, I'm not trying to feel like insecure, but like I'm a big hefty fellow, and he's like toned and he's fit and things like that. And I'm just thinking like, why is he like so like enamored with me? But that's an insecurity thing, I guess. So, but he just like really. I just told him like, it was too much for me. I was just like, this is becoming a little toxic and I can't have that. Like I need to have like a clear mindset of what I'm gonna be doing here and what we're doing. And I think that it would just be better if we weren't talking in short. And I don't think that he liked that. He's like, all right, cool, I don't give a fuck anyway. I'm like, all right, sure, cool, whatever. Let's just go our separate ways. And it was like that for like, I want to give it like a week. And then he starts like blowing my phone up, calling me all kinds of thoughts and shit. And I'm like, a thought? I always make the jokes about that, but I literally don't, I'm not out here like that. So past that point, I'm just kind of like, okay, dude, like, I'm just kind of like, not for this. I'm like, stop contacting me. Because I'm like, this is getting past the point like we're not being friendly with each other and this isn't healthy. And then he starts hitting me up again, but this time after I blocked his number, take in mind. After I blocked his number, I was like, all right, well, okay, well, I'm just leaving this alone. I don't want to deal with this anymore. And he started hitting me up from I guess you could say like a text now number or a block number. Which, don't get me wrong, in my past I've done that too with exes, but that's the whole thing. We'll talk about that in a different time. But he literally he started hitting me up, calling me thoughts again, of course. And then I blocked a total of 5 numbers, I felt. And I was like, okay, well, this is obviously not going anywhere. And then I didn't hear from him for a good 2 weeks. And so, then I was kind of sitting here thinking like, okay, well, I think this is like good. Like, I think we're all good. There's no beef. There's nothing. Like, we're all cool. So then he hits me up from a different number. And I kind of forgot about the situation or just kind of put it in the back of my head. And he was like, hey, yo, what's up? And I'm like, who is this? He was like, oh, I'm the last guy that was like putting it down. And I was like, what is this? And he was like, damn, man, you're that much of a thought that you don't know who the last person person you fucked. And I was like, oh, okay, so I obviously know what this is. And I haven't fucked anybody else, but now you're kind of being like, you're past the point of like, this isn't okay. Like, you're going into like stalkerish behaviors. And it's kind of creepy, right? And I kind of just left it at that. And I told him, like, you know, and please take in mind that I'm not someone to expose someone. Please don't take that's what I'm saying now. But I definitely told him, like, if you don't chill the fuck out, I'm literally gonna go to, like, I'm going to the public with this. I'm like, that's creepy. Like, everyone thinks, like, you're this cool, chillax person. And you're definitely not being that. You're being, like, fucking crazy. And he was like, if you expose me, then I'm gonna leak your shit and all this other shit from a fake page. And it was just a whole lot. And then finally, he decides he's gonna start. No, he leaves me alone for like a moment. And oh, I think I got it in my mouth. But let's see. I look okay. But he decides he's gonna leave me alone for that point in time. And I wanna say, like, honestly, like, after a while, he would randomly hit me up, and I don't know why I did, but I did unblock him for a short point in time. Even, like, after, like, my ex and I broke up, like, I think I was just, like, wanting attention, so I unblocked him and things like that. And then he was still a weirdo after that point. I was like, damn, dude, it's been like 3 to 4 years and you're still on some weird shit? Like, I don't know. It's above me. But yeah, here's a video of my eyebrows. I mean, I think I did good. I like doing the straight brows now, so I feel like it brings out, it accentuates my face. If they look shitty, don't talk about me. But honestly, I look like with my glasses on. So yeah, looks good. My hair's a little crazy too. I'm definitely in need of a retwist, even though I originally got it done. I'm in need for a retwist. And that has been like my story about 2 Grindr experiences. And if you guys did like this video, you know, please let me know. I definitely like talking. And if you guys enjoy it, I can definitely have some more. I do feel like I have a little bit more crazier stories. But I want to say this is kind of like a test run to see how this does. And, you know, like I said before, just let me know if you enjoyed it and I will come back with some more content. And I think I'm going to actually start doing my makeup. I might actually just like stop recording this and start filming me doing my makeup, because not doing my eyebrows, I kind of want to go through and like do a look, because, you know, I have my drag performance May 6th. So if you guys are going to be out that time or free that night, come out May 6th. I will be performing my first drag performance. I can't dance, but I'm gonna try to do something that would be like entertaining. And it'll be at the Village Station on Arkansas side, so definitely let me know. And it's been nice talking to you with DT, and have a nice one.